uh, when I joined IIIT way back in 2018, first few days, Anant, when I saw you with that 3D printer in your hands, I think first few days थे, I think एक महीना दो महीना हुआ होगा. And I see him, this tall guy, carrying something in his hands and entering the elevator. मैंने कहा, ये क्या है? I had myself not seen a 3D printer until then. कहा, सर ये 3D प्रिंटर है. ये कहाँ लेके जा रहे हो? इसने कहा लैब में है, काम करना है. लाइक चलो कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग काम कर रहा है. देन आई रियलाइज ही इज आल्सो डूइंग अ कोर्स, या ये शायद नहीं, मेरे ज्वाइन करने के अगले सेमेस्टर में कभी था. यू हैड ऑलरेडी डन अ कोर्स विद मी बाय देन, समथिंग आई डोंट नो. बट वेरी अर्ली ऑन व्हेन आई वाज जस्ट settling into triple IT, that is the time when I saw him playing with 3D printers and doing that stuff. And then I was so glad that he decided to not take a job and do a startup. And they also went to Shark Tank. They made big waves. We publicized them big time on our handles and everything. So that was a fun time. And then, as I did mention, so Manant, I did mention to them in the morning that we dropped the startup and then we moved on.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
we dropped the startup. There was some. So I would want to hear myself firsthand कि क्या हुआ था,
Hmm.
and what challenges we decided to not pursue or not handle, and then decided to move on. So he's presently working with Airbound, and Airbound is also a drone-based company. And again, he will share about the challenges that he's handling now and how the transition from Peak Labs to Airbound was and all that stuff.
Perfect.
So
Nice.
over to you, Anant, and we will summarize later.
Perfect. So I'll tell you everything that sir told you folks, uh, and just detail it out more. Okay. So I'm guessing, are you all from IIIT Delhi? You're not, right?
Yes.
Oh, you are from IIIT. How many of you are from IIIT? All of you, right? Okay. Cool. Okay,
So
not
Anant,
all. Okay.
there is one there is, in this at this point of time, there is one student who is not from IIIT Delhi, and we have a few more students also are not from IIIT Delhi, but almost all of them are from IIIT.
Nice. Great. Great diversity, guys. So now I'll talk to you. I'll present my screen. I have to send a request. Uh, Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, I'll have to, I guess, rejoin. I have to rejoin. 1 second, please. Yes. Yes. All right. I hope you can see my screen now. Yeah.
Yes, Anand, your screen is visible.
Perfect. Okay. ठीक है. So I am going to go into a lot of personal details, so you all can freely gossip about me if you want to. Like basically, start with this. ठीक है. Yeah. So I am 28 years old. I think that's important. I think you must all be 20, 21, I guess. Like uh, 19. Like how many of you are below 20? Okay. And okay, yes, Anuj sir, of course. Uh, And okay, cool. So you're in your second or your third year. Great. I'm gonna talk about why that is amazing, what you have that I don't, and uh, but like I'm 28. It's not been a long time for me. I feel very very young even right now. But बाकी spoiler होगा. But let's say I built Tweak Labs. We got to 10,000 users and we shut down the company. We got acquired by this company called Ultrahuman. Do you know about that? Like any of you heard of Ultrahuman? Oh, wow. नहीं नहीं मतलब जज नहीं कर रहा बट ठीक है. ओके एंड with them I kind of built a wrist wearable and I went to China and I lived there for 6 months. I did not learn Chinese. I talked to them with China does not have English as a medium of communication. You talk to people in Chinese and you figure it out how you do that. And we built a hardware product in China. We talked to vendors there. Like we built relationships with people and like a lot yada yada. Uh, Now I am building the drone avionics stack at uh, Airbound. Uh, this is my first like very hardcore deep tech company, which uh, like where technology is actually way more important than businesses. And there are different kinds of companies, there are different kinds of products, and I'm going to talk about which is what and what you choose should be determined by what you have. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, we'll come to it. Uh, I am right now also building Moveware. Uh, Now, there is something that is very, very essential when you're trying to build your own company. And if it's not obvious yet, it is money. And it is not the money that you keep in your pocket. That is like so secondary that it won't matter for 10 years. What matters is what money you need to get things done. So, we're going to talk about how to get money. Maybe it's from investors, maybe it's for customers. Both of them need different mindsets. And what did I do? Let's see that as a case study, right? Um, okay, so again, let's think of it. I hope you've heard of Nikhil Kamath at least. Like, I mean, I hope you all are building a startup and you do watch WTF podcasts and like spend those 1 hours. You are the 19-year-olds who want to do the next big thing. I hope that is there, right? So I'm gonna go from that format itself. I am from a middle class family. There is nothing business about my family at all. They were all people from corporates. There is nothing that has biased me to go and start building a business. I am a very typical student. I was a scoring student. I was academic in nature. I loved electronics. My parents gave me extreme level of freedom because I was the youngest child and I had two elder sisters. Uh, because of that freedom, I was not even forced in my family to take science. In fact, I was encouraged to think of other things because science is actually hard and math is actually hard. Are you sure you want to do this? Uh, and just by chance, I became passionate about physics uh, with absolute freedom. I'm coming from a very different kind of a background that a typical person who gives J is from. I became passionate about math and physics. I loved it. And I was a little more passionate about physics than I was about math. And that is why electronics was closer to my heart than computer science was. Uh, this is where I come from. This is where my love for technology comes from. It is not an opportunistic point of view because I did not know what money is until I started actually doing my startup. Uh, I learned what money is only when salary started hitting in, like when that first paycheck comes. And it's really okay not to know about it. Until you know that you love the thing that you do. It could be physics, it could be math, it could be design, it could be aeroplanes, it could be drones. It's just extremely important to love what you do. Because why you're going to be building a company is not because you are going to earn money out of it someday. It's going to be because you actually like doing this compared to anything else. You get a job at Google, you will say no. You get a 1 crore package and you are flying to London and you're going to be like, living with Mark Zuckerberg in SF, whatever, and you're going to say no. You are going to choose this instead. That is how passionate you are about the thing you are going to do. If you are not, you need to find a way to fall in love so hard with that thing and make sure that like your ambition is bigger than living with Mark Zuckerberg in San Francisco. All right, so like think of it that way. Uh, but of course, we'll start there. Um, okay, have you heard of TVF pictures? Any of you? Like, okay, nice. Okay, obviously, guys, like you know you get you don't always walk the road and get into accidents yourself. Sometimes you need other people to tell you that there are potholes in the way, right? uh, I have been dependent on books, content, and a lot of these things that have told me what I am getting into. In fact, a very big mistake that I've made is that I've not really I believe that after building the startup, after selling the company, is when I started taking that content way more seriously. Because I had actually walked through those paths. I had actually burnt my hands already. And all of that content was actually giving me advice on how not to burn your hands. Right? Of course, it matters more to you when you actually burnt your hand. दूध का जला छाछ भी फूक कर पीता है. Obviously that is true, but पहले से ही पता करके रख लो that छाछ ठंडी होती है. Would be great for you, right? Uh, so एक TVF Pictures नाम का एक वो था, like if you heard of Silicon Valley, this is basically the desi version of Silicon Valley, where there were these four people who started doing a startup, and it was just a fancy word. There was this person who kind of gave in a speech that the reason why he's on stage right now, he's struggling right now, he quit his job, whatever he is, he quit his fancy paying job, he did not travel to a specific place where it would have been a flamboyant journey for them, is because he was obsessed with solving problems. He he was young and like he loved solving problems. It did not matter what that problem was, what was the way to reach that. He just loved solving problems. And that idea itself of a career or of a path was extremely fascinating to me. It was so powerful that you can kind of say that to become president you have to please so many people, but nobody tells you of how do you please those people. But when you say that you want to solve a problem, that is a tangible bottom up approach to understanding what do I do next. And it is ever powerful that if you solve problems for people, you create dependencies and you are going to have impact in your life. it is something that connects it. If you can do things and you can get it in people's hands and they love you for that specific problem that you've solved, uh, there is nothing more powerful than that. No money can buy that. ठीक है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि एनजीओ खोल लो, वो सब अपनी मर्जी से करना जो करना है, बट दिस इज व्हाट brought this idea of entrepreneurship for me. So of course, like I was in class 11 or 12. I had the main thing that I was trying to do was JEE. Like मुझे physics और maths की problem solve करनी है and I want to do them fast. That was my KPI. KPI is key performance indicators, right? So now I came to college. अब entrepreneurship is not just that अच्छा चलो कंपनी खड़ी कर देते हैं and like everything is going to be in my hands. It's basically about taking agency. It's about getting things in your hand and delivering it to the end of its life cycle. So, like my first entrepreneurial journey was music. I know that abhi bhi college mein the music culture is almost dead. And if you tell me it's not, I will say you are wrong, even if I have not been on campus. Uh, Audio Bytes basically was like a baby to me. There was music culture before and after, but I was coming from a very musical background. Like from my school itself, and uh, I saw that there is this gap in the music culture in IIIT Delhi versus DTU versus NSIT versus IIT versus all of the other Delhi University colleges. Of course, that is because they have more time compared to us, right? We have way more assignments. It's way harder to get the same CGPA as a DTU person. And of course, they have more time and they can do things, they have more free time to do things. But the challenge was to actually get people in this college with that curriculum to do even harder things. So we set up an a cappella team and people got passionate about it. We went to inter-college competitions and we had a standing in front of all of the colleges that I talked about who had a lot of time. In college, we used to wake up at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. before our lectures, went to the mess, had food, and then went to our lectures. It was we were extremely passionate and that was something that satisfied us. With this, we built a band of ours. We went to inter-college competitions. We even won. And that is when, do you still have Odyssey, your cultural fest? Like, I think like I might have, I've heard things, but like, okay. But yeah, I think it was like our second or third Odyssey. And we had like, there were, before this, there were about 1,000 people, 1,000 people footfall in Odyssey. And in this Odyssey, where there was music events and like some other things, Hardy Sandhu was performing, and like that was like a 5,000 people footfall. Out of those 5,000 people, 1,000 of them were only participants of the music events itself. Because all of the people knew who Anant was, who was coming to their college and participating in their events and is good. Uh, and that really saw this impact that, the college took music seriously, the college took dance seriously. Every cultural event became important. It was not about business or sales, it was about the product. It was about who these people were, who were these communities that others found amusing. And that is how this footfall started increasing. Um, that was my very big passionate moment in college. But At the same time, I also loved technology. We had like an IED project that I think, do you still have PIS?
Yes.
First year में, like do you get PIS as a course? Uh,
Second,
sorry?
second year. PIS is a course for only design and CSE students now.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Okay.
Students and EV students don't get that. EV students get something called embedded system design.
Okay.
DCE students uh, go empty-handed. Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. So I'll tell you what. So like I'll tell you what our course structure was. So our professor was Alexander Fell, and like the course objective was, hey people, you are gonna make a project, and I'm gonna grade you on that project, and that was it. You can choose whatever you want to build, and you will be graded on your execution. That was it. That was the course outlay. So like it was my first introduction to like to a complete. So of course in school there are people, you learn computer science in class 12, obviously nobody takes it seriously because you're preparing for JEE, right? uh, but once you're in college you kind of realize that hey, there are people who were taking it seriously. Like why do people know programming when like uh, like in first year, why have they already built their websites, right? Of course this is pre AI time. Like I mean, right now everybody can build their own websites. But I think we kind of got into this that okay, there were ideas, there were physical systems that people have created, but there are these people who are as intelligent as I am, and we can all actually build things together. This was not the situation in school. School mein, like it was diversified. People used to do different things, but here everyone is smart, and that was my first experience of seeing okay, four smart people coming together and building a project. So that is when we first built this. So I met Shwetank. Shwetank is my co-founder, and we participated in hackathons together. There are still hackathons, right? Like, okay, cool. So we participated in hackathons together, and that addiction was actually started from that IED course for us, right? Like where we had this open-ended problem statement. We can define the problem, and we have to find a solution, right? Uh, and hackathons are exactly that, just that you get one night. But this course gave you a lot of time. What would you do if you are given a lot of time? You would build hardware because that is obviously more impressive. Like you will build software if you are given one night, right? So like you take something ambitious and you try to squeeze that in that, okay, you have 6 months, you can go to Chandni Chowk, you can get metal parts, you can fuse them together, you will cut wood and like get your hands dirty, right? And that was what the journey was. So this was the first project that I've ever done with my co-founder. Uh, Can you still see my screen? Oops.
Yes.
Very, okay. Oh, it switched, right? One sec. It's visible, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so basically we build a shadowboard. You use a Kinect, you use Arduino to control servos, and those servos rotate a robot, which is captured from the human that is standing in front of them. So this was our first year project. Absolute jugaad. So yeah, matlab, sure. Like first year में like you would know nothing about engineering. You would just know like nothing about engineering. Like there is the person who was recording this video was Alexander Fell himself, and he sent this video to us because this was just very cool. But obviously, we were not doing entrepreneurship at that time. We were just engineering. We were just looking for something that will be a very cool engineering problem, and that is okay. Like that is what the purpose is, right? Like that is why you are in it. It's not because you're going to earn a lot of money. So yeah, I mean, moving on. So now this was my second year when odyssey was done. 1 year of odyssey was done, like 1 year of music events was done. I became popular in Delhi for music. Everything happened. uh, Now was the next thing. What is the next thing to look forward to? So uh, there were three paths that I could take, right? And this was just, it was a PhD student who kind of came to me and told me that, there are three paths that you can take. Uh, there is a job that you can take. In a job, in 10 years down the line, you're going to be an executive of a huge company, let's say, like, best case scenario, like no family, nothing, you are just on your job, do everything. 10 years, you get somewhere. You are an executive of a very big company. You're Google, or like, you're in San Francisco, you live your life the best. Amazing things are happening with you. The caveat here was that there were, at that time, there were a lot of people from IIIT Delhi who had that life. Like, even today, there are a lot of people in IIIT Delhi who have exactly that life. They are at Amazon, Google, and like in all of these places because the 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 larger population of IIIT Delhi came here to go and do masters in the US, right? So a lot of people went from IIIT Delhi, went to masters, and like settled in the US with an H-1B visa, right? Uh, Great story. One good story, obviously a successful life. That is what our parents and everybody aspires for. कि हमारे बच्चे बाहर सेटल हो जाएं. Great story. The other was research. Research actually is that घुस करके टेक्नोलॉजी में like doing things that you're extremely passionate about and looking for long-term solutions to problems, right? Of course, like, you might have to love engineering a lot. You might have to love math a lot, right? I know people who did PhDs in math. My roommate in hostel went to TIS and completed his PhD in math. And you have to be absolutely crazy to be able to do that. Um, and and he was crazy. He was, you know, like he used to wake up at 5 o'clock, not for a cappella practices, just for the sake of it. He would sleep in a triple IT culture. He would sleep at 11 o'clock, wake up at 5, and he was like a 10 CGPA guy from our batch. Uh, like there are crazy people who exist, and they are really good at their domain, and research is meant for them. Uh, and the 10-year goal would be, hey, you're Dr. Anant, you're in Microsoft Research, you're well known for that specific domain that you excelled in. You have published papers. You possibly want to become a professor who actually imparts this knowledge and creates more people who can then get better at this, right? And if you love a specific domain too much, you should do that. I didn't have that yet. I mean, I had love for a lot of domains, but I did not have love for a single domain. Sometimes you don't find out your passion until you do that, but okay. And the third option was entrepreneur. To be honest, entrepreneur is the least cool thing that amongst these three. Like 10 years down the line, you will become a sneer grower. What? Like, wo- like 10 years down the line, you will become, Harsh Jain or Bhavesh Agarwal. Who are these people? Like, it's just their name. Like, half of us don't know their background. What did they do? We might know what Mark Zuckerberg did. We have seen social network. We might know we don't know uh, what the 99% people who failed at their startup are. What did they do? Where did they come from? What was their purpose? Um, and even beyond that, I chose entrepreneurship only for one thing, and that is what I addressed in the first go. That it was an obsession of solving problems. It is not the money that you're behind. It is not the excellence in the thing that you do that is behind. It is about taking something, taking somebody's money, and making sure that that person is happy to give you more of them. That is what you're looking for. You're looking for impact. And if you are obsessed with that impact, obviously the person in San Francisco is not as successful as Ashneer Grover is. That comes in ethics, what you do with that money. But like in terms of absolute success, when you chase impact, you may not your curve might look like this rather than this. And the yeah, I don't have anything more to say on this. So yeah, I think you don't do entrepreneurship to be fancy. You do it because of uh, something larger that you want with your life. And I think get used to it. Like IAS officers have like very hard lives. They have like spent almost like a lot of their career giving a competitive exam. Think of this as a competitive exam. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be the hardest path you're going to choose in amongst all of this. And that is why people do it in the first place. Because having a difficult life gives you muscles, uh, not just on the brain, not just on your body, but like of how to live life. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little about Tweak Labs. Tell you about मतलब थोड़ा ज़्यादा ज्ञान दे दिया. I'll tell you a little about my credibility, why, what I did, what was me, what was the passion that was coming from me. Why did I choose this problem to solve? Yeah, so there was a time in my life, class 7, 8, mein, where I had to choose between football and music. When I was younger, I wanted to be a professional football player. And I went to Baiching Bhutia Football School, like went to IIT, played like I loved football. Like I was a Messi fan since like you guys were kids. So like it was a great uh, passion for me. The problem with football was that there was like in school or in general education, there is ways for you to actually have a feedback loop. If you're bad at physics, you will get less marks and you'll know about why you are bad at physics. There is topics that you did not think about. Uh, there is no way to do that in sport. If I do not get selected in some national level team, I just go back and I have no idea why, and I will never know. It could be because uh, one of the guys selected was a politician's son, or it could be that I suck at my game. how do I improve myself? How do I get better? Is not a pyramid. It is just like a, l- a s- s- a stale lake, and you don't know how to kind of climb up. So that's where it came in, and like I think you saw that Kinect version of that IED project that we did. That was my first exposure to motion capture, like, and that kind of clicked in together that hey, what if these points that we are tracking with a Kinect in front of you, what if they become ubiquitous? It's a term that I learned in our human computer interaction class. Ubiquity is basically something that exists everywhere. It's like a laptop is ubiquitous, a phone is ubiquitous, Apple is ubiquitous. Uh, and that's where this kind of came in, that what if motion capture was ubiquitous? Like, what if everyone's motion was being captured? What can we do with that? Is that the gap that will plug in the feedback loop of how does somebody get better at sport? And this was extremely obsessive. I mean, I was like, yes, of course, this will solve all problems. Uh, and that's where the journey began. I went to Shwetank, of course, that, hey, bro, I think we don't know what we've built. We just did it for no reason yet, and there is something we can get out of it. Uh, there is no end to the idea. You will keep brainstorming what you can do with this, and there is no end to it. Uh, Me and Shwetank went to Professor Aman Parnami, who had a wearables lab, and we started building garments which have embedded sensors that would capture motion. And we thought we can go and make people better at sports, workout, fitness, etc., and get them to improve themselves. So of course we started with football. All India Football Federation is so corrupt that they don't know how to play football. Uh, so we could not sell in football. So we wanted to go to these people. We wanted to get a PRD from them. PRD is a product requirement document where you go to a customer, sit and understand their problems, and you figure out what is the thing they can use in terms of technology, right? You come back and you kind of see that, hey, uh, this is like totally not doable. So we had an intern whose name was Ayush. He was like the cricket guy of IIIT Delhi. Like he was the cricket guy of IIIT. Like the way I was for music, he was the cricket guy. Um, and he said that, like, when our mocap suit is ready, we're gonna go to cricket, like Delhi District Cricket Association someday. We're gonna show them a demo. I asked him to call them and say that we are ready. So he called them and told them that we are ready. And you know what they did? They called us and said, "Come and show us a demo immediately." And so we were like, okay. We met their video analyst directly. He gave us a PRD of exactly what he wants. He knew exactly technically where is the problems of a fast bowler, how do you fix them, and we have never been able to fix those problems because we don't have gadgets that actually calculate these things for us. That is a gold mine. And for your information, Delhi District Cricket Association is the most corrupt cricket association of all of them. So this is how well it was. Cricket is so innate to this country that I don't even need to go to Delhi District Cricket Association. The uncle sitting and having chai and watching TV, knows what products fast bowlers need. Even they know what techniques are. But nobody knows that in any other sport. So we use the advantage of where we are and what we know to build for fast bowling. We went to 10,000 fast bowlers in the country. We taught them how to improve their performance. They wore the suit, they bowled, they came back, and they immediately understood what was wrong with them. We, on an average, increased their bowling speed by 10%. And it was just like we just solved a problem. There were people who were paying us for a problem that we are solving. So, yes, I may not have built a very big company, but I found product market fit. And that is delightful. That is what you're after. So, that was Tweak Labs, and like, here's a demo. Uh, I don't know if you've seen my Shark Tank video. By the way, that is Ayush.
Share the screen, Anand.
Oh, नहीं हुआ. Okay. Okay. So yeah, of course, this was like an early version of the product. We now have like much better things. We look like Whoop now. But yeah. Um, but of course, like it's very context heavy, but fast bowlers know this stuff. They know this every day. And it became a behavior change for fast bowlers to bowl a ball and come back and look at that screen. That did they fix the thing that they were actually solved for? And that is exactly the feedback loop we begin to solve for. We had that immediate feedback loop for the user, nobody involved, no coach involved, and somebody who can just bowl and come back and see if they solved that problem themselves. It was empowering to fast bowlers. It was great. We worked with the best coaches in the country. I have met Jasprit Bumrah, Glenn McGrath. Like, it is Varun Aaron has actually worn my suit. We are friends. We still talk to each other. Uh, like we are the best fast bowling product in the world, and just nobody knows about it. That's all. It because we ran out of cash. All right. So that is when the very good point to start talk about the next thing, the more serious stuff. How does fundraising work? Where is money in all of this? How do you raise money? Okay, this is depressing, but bear with it. This is going to be your life, and I want this to be your life because I want to be inspired by some of the people in that room. Uh, basically, like there are two ways of building a company. Okay, and there is the raising money way. Okay, now the raising money from investors is a hard path. The reason why it's hard is because we are scientists and engineers, and we find some bliss in objectivity. That if you do this, you get this. There has to be some level of an if-else statement to our life, right? Raising money is the most random experience that you're going to go through. Not the first round, not the angels, not the people who trust you who will give you money. But after that. because raising money is a storytelling game and a market hotness game. Okay. So there is a reason why, people raise a lot of money. They are sometimes just at the right place, at the right time, telling the right stories about the right market. And if you are, and nobody tells you what that market is. Like, you cannot, let's say today, if AI, for example, if you were to build something in AI, it is the most random idea you can go to an investor for, because it is a commodity right now. There is no differentiation. To be fundable as an AI company, you were supposed to start 6 years ago. When you have the muscle to scale and grow, that is the time when the market is supposed to become hot. Nvidia, for example, what do they do? They make GPUs. Did they know that there is going to be AI? No. They were making it for people who play games. They were making it for bitcoins. Right now, it is the most valuable company in the world. Do you think that they were doing it because it was hot? Okay, yeah, sorry. I thought, oh, you guys are really frozen. Okay. Uh, do you think that that happened because the market kind of was hot, or they went and raised money that, hey, AI market is hot, give us money? No, they already had that infrastructure ready for them, that we are the best company right now who will give those products right now. That is going to be the whole purpose of AI. So you don't start companies based on trends. You start companies based on who you are. What do you like, and would you be the people who would be known for this? Would I be the guy known for music? Would I be the guy known for motion capture? That is what you're looking for. There is, when we say personal brand, the product of that brand is you. You are supposed to think about what do you want to be identified as. And you should take so much time to think about it that it should feel slow. Uh, so raising money is random, and with these things in mind, it would at least give you peace of mind when you're going about raising money. So you don't raise money, you don't pursue an idea because you can raise a lot of money. You know how you raise a lot of money, right? You storytell in the right domain at the right time, and you're gonna get there, right? Uh, when you take that money, it is going to be your problem. It is not going to be the investor's problem. You are holding your own credibility when you take money from somebody. And the world does travel fast. You are not going to get away with doing scams. A Schneer Grover does not get away with scams. Anybody does not get away with scams, right? And that is something you have to keep in mind. You have to be ethical, and as much as you can. Of course, it's not black and white, but you have to be as ethical as much as you can, right? Okay. So now that I've said that, I want to talk about something which is extremely important to you people, and you should think about it immediately right now. You heard what is a Lala business? Does anybody know what a Lala business is? Okay, Lala business comes from the term of Lala ki dukan, ki the guy who with the shop on the side, right? Uh, there are people, there are Lalas who are way richer in this country than a lot, like most of the people in Silicon Valley. They do things like selling sarees in Chandni Chowk. Like, just that they don't pay income tax. That's a different thing. But think of the merit here. Don't think of. So, where does that all come from? Yeah, so there are two ways of doing businesses. There is one that is the storytelling way, right? There are ways to tell a story. Let's say, even if you are passionate about the problem, you need to learn how to tell that story. And you need to tell that story based on what you want with this idea. Do you want to make this idea a Lala company versus do you want to make this a VC funded company and be a Mark Zuckerberg? The thing is that being a Lala business is safer. It is basically you will get money, you will have a bungalow in Panchil Park or Gurgaon or whatever, maybe even San Francisco. You will be happy, you will have a family, you will have kids, you will have time, and that is valuable. The other is that VC funded route where you will have to know how to tell stories. So I'm going to talk about the airbound story a little bit. Um, do you know that the founder of my company, my boss, my CEO, is 21 years old and he's raised $35 million for airbound uh, as a Series F from US investors. And it's not because he's 21 years old. He is actually the person who can do it. How did he get there is just a matter of clarity. He is exactly as passionate about his idea as I talked about Tweak Labs. He's exactly in that right market, but his story is better than every other drone company story. And how it starts is that logistics is not a premium business. It is not something that is going to be run by marketing or somebody is going to pay more money to have a drone deliver parcels to you instead of a man knocking on your door. Nobody is going to pay more money for that. Logistics is going to be a cheap business and it's always going to come down to costs. And we are going to deliver goods at 1 rupee per kilometer and 1 rupee per kilometer per kg. And it's going to be the most efficient system, and we are going to scale so much that it is going to amortize the cost and make it 1 rupee per kg per kilometer. Okay, so like obviously this is so hard to do. How does somebody who comes from a background, let's say like me, a middle class background, how do they think in abundance like that? Like somebody has to think that, hey, money has to be there for me to make so many drones and do so many deliveries. And then the final number is going to come in. But no, he said that on the day zero of establishing his startup, that the idea is that drone delivery will become a commodity and it is going to be because of me, because I will make the cheapest logistics through drones possible from mere engineering. So that is the $35 million pitch. And you need to articulate your problem statement. Obviously, when I talked about that, hey, this is the most engineering heavy company that I've been to, who does not have to think about business, it's because it's so obvious that this demand exists that if I just solve the engineering problem, nobody has a doubt that this is going to be big enough. There is quick commerce, there is Zepto. Nobody wants to miss on another Zepto, right? So there is that VC mindset. And if I were to think of that Lala mindset with the same story, I would think in a different way. I would say that if my relative or family member in Delhi needs blood, I don't care. Take my 50,000 rupees and get this blood from Haryana to Delhi. And if I start solving that problem in scale, where it is not a vitamin, it is not it is not a vitamin, it's a painkiller. It's something that is a burning need. People pay for that. And that will actually always make me profitable. I will be profitable from day zero itself. It will give me peace. I don't have to go through the random process of fundraising. And I will own most of my company. I am not accountable to shareholders who have nothing to do with my product. I am only accountable to shareholders who have everything to do with my product. When a company grows larger, the founder has 1, 2, 5, or 10% of the company. The rest of it is owned by private equity, venture capitalists, like public, like in your IPOs, and all of these people who have nothing to do with how good your product does or like what impact it creates on the audience that you have. It becomes a mere equation of chasing more money. And it is okay to have that. It is totally okay to have that if you think at some point that, you know, this company does not need me anymore. It needs growth only. If you are at that place that, I can do 1 rupee per, 1 rupee per kg per kilometer, you don't care anymore. It's, this is it. Like, now there is a machine you've created that is going to make money for you. You're okay to have 1, 2, 5, 10% of that company, and you are going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. And you're going to be extremely huge because you solved a real problem and you solved that real problem, and it is being solved at scale now. These are two types of companies. You need to know on day zero what is the one that you choose. Huh. Okay. So, I think there are two of these things that I want to kind of really talk about. I think we can end it and like open the floor for questions from there. Um, yeah, basically, when you start a company, you need to know what you bring to the table. You you're not going to do this alone. You're going to have a team, and that team has to respect you. You can't be a dumb person in hardware who has done nothing, and you hired an experienced hardware person to do things for you who does not have the same ownership with the idea as you do. There are two things that incentivize them: either money, give them a very good salary and they will work for you, and the other is they believe in you, they believe in the idea, and they believe in the things that you have said. They believe in the practicality of the things that you've said, and they want to be a part of that vision. Sometimes you have to take care of both of those things. And when you are hiring very senior people, you're not going to be a 3 member, 4 member, 5 member team. You are going to have, if things are all right, you're going to have a 30, 40 member team. Do those 30 people respect you for who you are? Where is that respect going to come from? It is because you have domain knowledge in the things that you're doing. And that is what you bring to the table. Get ruthless about having very difficult problems to solve and have individual contribution in being able to do that. I knew nothing about hardware when I joined AAA. I did not know basically anything about coding when I joined IIIT Delhi. I just knew C++ plus plus from class 12. I started writing firmware in the first year. I started participating in hackathons in the first year. Learned PCB designing absolutely from scratch. Nobody taught me. I got PCBs manufactured. I've learned everything from my own bare hands. All of the things that people now talk on YouTube about have I have personally experienced parts in my journey where I can say those same things and say that, this is that case study. And you should be that person. If you are building in hardware, you should know hardware. You should know how to audit the person who is working with you. That is the only way they're going to respect you. So now coming back to this, I right now am at something called a second founder syndrome. फिर क्या होता है ना कि जब so this is the advantage that you have as a 19, 20, 21 year old that I don't or Anuj sir does not. Yeah, basically you are naive. You don't know anything about the world. And that is the best advantage that you have. Once you start to understand how ugly the world gets, once you start to interact with clients, once you start to understand, hey, hardware is so hard and these are things that people can't do, once that practicality comes into your life, it's gonna be way harder to make decisions. Once you have things and responsibilities, like responsibilities not in terms of work itself, but life and family and all of these other things keep getting harder. Right now, you are naive and use that naivety well. Like, be proud of not knowing enough about the world and jump into things. Because me, as a second time founder, has to think of so many things, has to think of, hey, like, oh, I am getting so much money right now. I have to now make sacrifices to be able to jump again. I need to take care of my family, my parents, all of those things now at this age compared to when I was 19. And that is what naivety brings to the table. You will have first principles thinking on building product, talking to users, solving certain problems that people in the industry itself would not have realized. Look for that. People who have 20 years of experience in even, let's say, semiconductor spaces, uh, they will come with amazing experience. But if you go and keep asking them questions, there will be loops you will be able to find that you might be able to solve for. Maybe they will require lots of money, but there will be places like that. But obviously, like, you should be able to solve that problem. You don't do startups where, like, you can't claim that, hey, if there's nobody and I have infinite time, I will solve this problem. I don't need anybody. Have that naivety, have that. I have not told you yet if 1 rupee per kg per kilometer is possible. I have not talked about the practicalities of that. I have not told you where I am or where we are in that goal. But I can tell you that today there are drone deliveries happening in Bangalore, in an urban area. There are 5 drones flying from one place to the other completely legally, and they are transporting blood. And we are already talking to Flipkart, Amazon, Zepto, and everyone. And all of that is true. But do you see where I'm coming at here? There are stories that are told, and there are actions that are happening, and they are different. So, all right. So yeah, I mean, that's something about me. That's something about startups. I think, yeah, I think I'll open the floor for questions. Here are some things that I did want to talk about, but I think I I didn't know how much I can talk. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Feel free to talk, people. Like, I mean, what are you
So,
people building? What are
Anant, I will break the ice.
Hmm.
And I have this question.
Yes,
Uh, Week Labs was doing really, really great.
yes, yes.
And when you told me that I'm closing, it broke my heart actually.
Hmm.
Uh, Now some time has lapsed since. I want to
Hmm.
hear from you that yes, you did so well and it could not work out.
Hmm.
ऐसा हो सकता है ना कितनों के साथ हो सकता है आपके साथ भी हो गया.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
regret that you started Tweak Labs or are you glad that you did it?
Hmm.
And like what is your now when you look back, what is your feeling about it?
I think I regret closing Tweak Labs way more at this point. Uh, when realities of life hit you and you realize that what other people have done with much more resources, you realize how great you were, like how well you were doing. And like the thing is that like when you build a startup, you start operating in a silo. You you have an environment around you that encourages you, that there are people who are encouraging you. Right now you're all in college. People are like, oh, technology, building better technology, go ahead, you're the best people, you're the coolest people. Once you step outside in the world, there are business people who come in, there are non-tech people who come in who don't understand technology as much, and they just understand the problem solution framework. um, I think what we did was accidentally really, really great. And I regret closing Tweak Lab so much that I am pursuing building that idea with my own money now. I I earn money so that I can save it and build things with, like, complete freedom again. So the main reason why we closed the company was, I think it was mostly cash flow. There was no other thing. The main reason why companies die is co-founders fight with each other. Like, I am still best friends with all of my co-founders. They are still my best friends. We still like have dinners together. Like we hang out every weekend together. Uh, the main problem was just cash flow. We got old enough and we had debt enough that we could not we could neither make it a Lala company and we could neither make it a VC fundable company. A VC fundable company, VC would come and tell us, hey, the total addressable market is not big enough for fast bowling. I said we did 10,000 fast bowlers, right? There are 20,000 fast bowlers in the country. So we covered half of them. That was all of our market. So we could neither be that, neither be this. And what we realized is that like the salary of the three founders that they could get at jobs was bigger than the runway or the burn of the company. So was it worth it to take money from investors and burn it and do it, or do it with your own money when you believe in this idea well enough? So yeah, I mean, yes, I am the crazy and obsessed version of that entrepreneur guy, but I think every entrepreneur you meet is going to be that person. You should meet Mukul. He is also very crazy. The Kabadi wala startup guy.
This is a batchmate, am I right?
Yes, yes, he's my batchmate. Yeah, he followed my footsteps to the second season of Shark Tank. So yes, yeah, I think there were like learnings. Of course, there should be learnings, and like yeah, yeah. Please, please. Any of you folks, please don't feel intimidated and like feel free to be absolutely as insecure as you want to be. Uh, Ask me the hardest questions that you want to, because like I mean, truth seeking. Come on.
तो एक क्वेश्चन है कि you were saying you are still regretting about that decision. अगर
Hmm.
आपको दोबारा उस पॉइंट पे एक ऑप्शन हो कि उधर भेज दिया जाए तो आप क्या करते हैं?
यार तो ऑब्वियसली यार लाइक आई मीन उस पॉइंट पे मतलब दिमाग में जो चीजें चल रही थी वर्सेस अभी इस पॉइंट पे जो चीजें चल रही हैं दे आर डिफरेंट. Today I am thinking of it from a retrospective point of view that what does the larger picture hold? When you have regrets, right? Regrets are usually long term, but actions are short term. So, like, you think of the larger picture, of course, I regret doing it, but in that short term, what was my condition? What was my financial decisions? They were absolutely appropriate. Today, I am labeled as a second time founder who returned money back to their investors. That is a, you remember, like, like you must have heard that stat only 1% of startups survive. I am in one of those 1% now. So great, good for me. The regret is that I have not been able to work on that product and idea for the last 3, 4 years. That is my regret. I assumed that when the acquisition happened, I would still get to work on that idea, and that is why I wanted to have that acquisition. I got other things in life because of that acquisition. I learned how to build a brand. I learned what D2C is. I know the smart ring business very well. I know the consumer hardware business very well. I know how to go to China and like talk to people in China. Uh, I got credibility to come and work at Airbound, where they trust me with their avionics systems. I am like the best guy. I take things with agency. They know that I'm not from an aerospace or avionics background, but just because I know hardware and I've deployed hardware and it has gone to places, I am a great hire. So, one thing that I would actually tell you guys, and you should not think about it, but I'm just going to tell you guys, if you're going into a startup, you're only going for a startup. When you're 40, you are going to be in a startup. You're not going to think about joining Google because you will be valuable at startups. If you've seen 0 to 1, there is no place that will value you more than the place that is actually going 0 to 1. And there will be other people who've raised more than $20 million, $5 million, $10 million, who can afford you, who will pay you money, who will pay you filthy money just to join them to go and do 0 to 1. Right? And you always choose that no matter how much it disrupts your work-life balance. Yeah. So yeah, that has been kind of my journey. I do, and I think that clarifies. Yeah, man.
आपने जैसे मोशन डिटेक्शन के लिए किया जैसे बॉलर्स करा रहे हैं तो ये बाकी फील्ड में आपने अप्लाई क्यों नहीं किया?
सॉरी, किसमें?
बाकी फील्ड जैसे आप जिम जाते हो तो
हाँ हाँ,
आपको
यस.
बहुत टाइम लगता है मोशन समझने में कौन सा मूवमेंट कैसे करना है ताकि इंजरी ना हो तो उसमें अप्लाई क्यों नहीं किया आपने ऐसे कोई कोई सही चीजें?
यार तो एक्चुअली बिल्कुल सही बात है. सो पहली बात तो राइट नाउ आई एम बिल्डिंग समथिंग. सो आई एम बिल्डिंग अ नाइकी राइट नाउ. आई एम बेसिकली बिल्डिंग अ स्पोर्ट्स ब्रांड that has sensors embedded in them that does this. That is basically going to be a compression layer. You go to the gym, and AI coach teaches you. Of course. हमेशा से गोल वही था because that is a larger market. It's just that हमने जो जो बॉटम अप दिखाया ना कि अच्छा फास्ट बॉलर को सब कुछ पता था और ये सब पता था. We assumed that the Air Jordan story of Nike. Do you know about that? Basically, Jordan was the guy जिसके लिए Nike created the Air Jordan shoe. Today, Nike is what it is because of that shoe. We thought in if you go into sports, you will be able to create examples in 5, 10 sports where you kind of go B2B, and then that actually builds that brand. Your brand is not built by aesthetic websites. It is built by aesthetic websites, don't get me wrong. But the real way of building brand is only when you give things to your customer, they like it, and they tell others about it. That is what builds a brand. Sports people telling you that you should wear this in a gym is going to be way more impactful. The problem is that when you go and build technology products, right, you go in with an inertia. And this is true for every deep tech product. You will go in with the inertia to take this customer and solve all of their problems because they will keep giving you problems to solve. Once we went into fast bowling, we kept getting problems to solve, not just in technology, but also in business, also in operations, also in supply chain, in all of those things. You need money to pivot or do things parallelly. तो इट ऑलवेज केप्ट वो क्वेश्चन आते जा रहा था कि भाई फास्ट बॉलिंग ही ज्यादा करो या बैटिंग ही कर लेते हैं ना। मतलब पूरे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, बुमराह के पास खड़े हुए हैं तो विराट कोहली खड़ा हुआ है वहां पे, लेकिन कुछ बात ही करने के लिए नहीं है उससे। सो लाइक दैट इज वेयर इट केम अप विद। ऑफ कोर्स वी नो बेटर पीपल, स्ट्रेंथ एंड कंडीशनिंग कोचेस, जो फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट्स, राइट, जो who are a better entrant to the market, but obviously you can't learn these things, you can't know these things a priori. You will only know them as a kind of a second time founder, that भाई मुश्किल होगा वो करना। So yeah, does that answer your question? I'm glad you're not fully convinced. Thanks. Nice. हाँ यार, anybody else? किसी को अपने बारे में भी कुछ पूछना है? नहीं नहीं, मेरे बारे में पूछ सकते हो, मेरे को कुछ वो नहीं मतलब।
आपको डाटा भी तो चाहिए होगा बहुत सारा, तो आपने बस बॉलर्स पे कराया, टेस्ट
हम्म।
किया है, बाकी किसी स्पोर्ट्स पे किया नहीं है, तो आपको पहले तो उन्हें प्रोवाइड करना पड़ेगा ना फ्री में, ताकि ये डाटा कलेक्ट कर लो बॉडी मूवमेंट सब।
थोड़ा सा यार तेरा वॉइस कट हो रहा है, एक बार थोड़ा सा जोर से बोलो।
आपको पहले डाटा भी तो कलेक्ट करना होगा, आपने बस फर्स्ट बॉलर पे ऐसे ट्राई किया,
हम्म।
बाकी जो डाटा जैसे रैंक प्लेनर्स हो गया, जिम
हम्म।
वाले हो गया, तो उन्हें आप पहले तो आपको प्रोवाइड करनी पड़ेगी ना आपके बेस्ट टीम, ताकि
यार, एकदम परफेक्ट बात है यार। वो बेसिकली लाइक यू हैव टू हैव अ फ्रेमवर्क, राइट, दैट व्हाट इज द वे, दैट व्हाट इज द गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड वे। So to have that gold standard way, obviously, like you have to go and talk to coaches. Like we had a Rajasthan Royals coach. So to get to that distribution, so that somebody can take you seriously, you need to have a product. It's a chicken egg problem. So you can only solve one chicken egg problem at a time. है ना? तो रनिंग के लिए अलग होगा, फिजियोथेरेपी के लिए अलग होगा, हर चीज के लिए अलग होगा, यूआई अलग होगा उसका। What does the user understand from fast bowling will be very different from what a person understands from running or gym or anything, right? So it's go to market. कैसे जाना चाहते हो? So think about, do you know Whoop? Like, does anybody know Whoop? Oh. Whoop also was like a B2B company for the first 5 years of its existence. It was selling to NBA players. And they were just like, they raised money from SoftBank. I think, yeah, that is also one of the biggest things that I've learned. If ultra human, don't quote me outside this room, but ultra human as a company had only money as an advantage. Like they were able to raise money. That is the only advantage. So we raised like 2-3 crore rupees. Ultra Human had $8 million in their bank account before even having a pitch deck. Very weird reasons. They sold their company to Zomato, and their investors. It was not a equity or a cash deal. It was an equity swap deal for Zomato before IPO. So the people who invested money in Ultrahuman made 10x that money. So Ultrahuman almost raised, like, 1/10 of the money they gave back. So obviously that is the advantage of being a good second time founder, right? Become a successful second time founder will help a lot. But of course, Ultrahuman did not build hardware, and it was the same problem again. Why do why does the team that worked for you respect you? And that fundamental will always remain. So yeah. और बताओ यार. What do you guys want to do? Like तुम लोग drones बना रहे हो, तुम लोग rovers बना रहे हो, तुम लोग जो ideas बना रहे हो, how many of you are doing it for the purpose of pursuing it instead of sitting for placements? हाथ खड़ा करो. चलो ठीक है. Nice. Okay. Nice. ठीक है. वाह. Sorry?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We're in stage, like we have to now look for ideas that what are we going to make. But I'm finding it difficult to put in, like, there are problems in the market, and I'm seeing we can do this, that, and there are certain of my own interests. Like you mentioned, what do you want to be known for? So
Yes.
you had a very good combination of that, like sports and motion detecting and everything. So how would you advise us to how where to look for and how to look for that?
बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. तो यार, like, I mean, yes, I do believe there is like a very there's a ratio between how opportunistic you want to be versus how passionate you are. ठीक है. मतलब, let's say I was wanted to be a football player only, na, तो like I should have pursued football only end to end. And like, even if AIFF is corrupt, I don't care. I will just do football because football is life, football is love, right? But we chose to pivot to something else, right? Just fast bowling, I did not know. I actually hated cricket when I was younger because it was so generic, right? Uh, I think you, the market that you're going behind, the things that you love, uh, that has to be there. Like, I mean, you choose primarily based on what do you like. Once you choose that, then you start looking at what you can do in that space that differentiates you. Once you have that hypothesis, so like you can have a scientific process of finding out what is your idea, and it's a design problem generally, right? Uh, so let's say my assumption is that, very basic example, my assumption is that if I create garments and like you have to charge those garments, uh, people will be happy to use it. That is my hypothesis. My experiment for this would be that I create some prototype of this and test with a cohort of people or myself or somebody that, hey, does this ergonomics work out? ठीक है. मतलब बहुत ही बेसिक एग्जांपल था. इट वाज इन प्रोडक्ट ओनली. बट if you're looking for a business problem, if you're really looking for something, let's say in your domain, you found out a problem, you would want to validate that somehow. You want to kind of really understand that अच्छा एकदम top level पे best places in the industry में ये प्रॉब्लम एग्जिस्ट करती है या नहीं, अगर करती है तो हाउ मच मनी इज एक्सचेंज्ड इन सॉल्विंग दैट प्रॉब्लम, if there is money being exchanged, where is the place where I can go and disrupt the space? Take that three-step curve, and I think you would be able to get to a very good idea that you have actually strategized itself, and you will become passionate about the idea a lot. You would be okay to actually spend your life on this because this has really come from the ground up, and I would really encourage it. मतलब there is nothing better than so Ather का founder था तरुण वर्मा, I think Tarun Verma. He was talking about things, and I think it was a dig on Bhavesh Agarwal only. Uh, क्योंकि ओला के स्कूटर फटने लग गए थे. I know that story also. They made BMSs that were like very hacky in nature, but whatever. Um, so like Tarun Verma was saying that uh, you know if you build a core company, if you go and solve a core idea, and you spend 10 years without changing that core idea of yours, that will give you the biggest peace of mind. You can chase 10 startups parallelly or do this and that and this and that, keep pivoting, keep doing things. But if you find something you are able to compound on, you can be known on, that is what is going to give you a peace of mind. So I know you should not optimize for peace of mind, of course, but build things that someday will scale. Uh, so वही I think and of course this is Paul Graham. Paul Graham basically उसने Y Combinator बनाया था. Like he kind of says something that is contrary to this, that when you're starting out, when you're looking for the idea, when you're trying to get your first bucks in, your core idea could remain the same, but today you do things that don't scale. You don't create an app that gets you delivery in 10 minutes. You create a WhatsApp group in your society that tells you the order, and you go and grab things from the Kirana store and deliver it so that you can earn money and you can prove that there is a market that exists for it. So you do things that don't scale as much as possible. Nobody will give you money to show that the product or the market or anything exists. You have to figure out absolutely garibi mein. So how do you prove the closest minimum viable product at of the problem you're trying to solve fastest without making a scalable solution? Go and do that. आई थिंक यप यप आई थिंक दैट विल अगले 6 महीने में अगर तुमने ये कर दिया, अगर तुम जो है इसके बाद से नंबर्स में बात करने लग गए कि जेप्टो वाली बात कर दी कि अरे कि वी हैव यू नो वी हैव डन, लेट्स से इफ यू आर मेकिंग ड्रोन्स वी हैव डन 200 सक्सेसफुल फ्लाइट्स, जस्ट ऐसे नंबर बोल रहा हूँ, और लेट्स से इस महीने 2 हो रही थी, अगले महीने 5 हो रही हैं, ग्रेट, अमेजिंग स्टोरी। उसके लिए 3 महीने में ऐसे सोच लो कि मतलब मेरे पास प्रोडक्ट रेडी होना चाहिए, अगले 3 महीने ट्रैक्शन के ऊपर काम करना है। Yeah, so like one thing I would actually like really kind of push forward it. Uh, there's a book I've read recently called Traction, and this was basically by the founder of this company called DuckDuckGo. Do you guys know DuckDuckGo? Uh, Privacy browser, like privacy search engine. So very tech guy, more tech guy than lot of us. And he basically comes up, he sold his 2 companies before DuckDuckGo. Uh, and he has done 5 startups. And he said that like the mistake that he's made and in the failed startups was there is supposed to be like a 50% rule. 50% rule ये होता है that if you spend X amount of time building your product, you have to spend X amount of time in selling it, in getting traction. Selling it does not mean get money for it. It could mean just making people use it. इसने बहुत सही analogy दी थी. Imagine that you are making a bucket and you put that bucket in, like एक टैप से पानी गिर रहा है and you put that bucket in there, right? A lot of people think that because the bucket is leaky, there are holes in the bucket. What it is such a absurd idea to put that bucket that is filling that water. But where this comes in is that you want to understand which holes do you want to plug in first. If you are going to design, you need to know that as soon as possible while you are iterating, what are the problems in the bucket. You imagine you are making a bucket that is just a cylinder with nothing at the bottom. And after making a very beautiful cylinder, you go and do that for the first time. And that's when you find out that I was solving the wrong problem all this time. And that is why you just need to make that shitty bucket and just get to that first customer as soon as possible so that you can start solving real problems in the real world fast. The moment you do that, you will become a Lala business which is VC fundable. So, with that, do look at Y Combinator Startup School. They have a lot of videos. You can almost prompt it on YouTube and say Y Combinator Startup School and it will have answers. Yes, ma'am.
हाँ सर, अगर आपके पास कैश होता तो ये क्विक लैब अभी भी रेवेन्यू प्रॉफिट में आ जाता.
Sorry, Tweak Labs?
आपका एक मेन रीजन है ना कि आपका तो कैश फ्लो कम हो गया था, मतलब बंदी हो गया था. अगर होता तो प्रॉफिटेबल बन सकता था ये.
हाँ यार, like I mean, यार हमारे पास B2B ऑर्डर्स थे राजस्थान रॉयल से, एमआरएफ पेस फाउंडेशन से और इवन बीसीसीआई से. हमारे पास रनवे ही नहीं था 6-8 महीने का टू बी एबल टू सर्वाइव दैट. तो B2B orders take longer times to actually close and do all of those things. So, like, we had to close down operations generally. Like, MRF Pace Foundation was actually calling us when we were at our jobs that, hey, like, please come and do a demo and do all of this. And we couldn't do it because we still did not have enough money to go and do that. So it will burn cash. Like some of these things burn cash, and you need to have some pile that is actually helping you do this. Hardware takes cash. If you are a software startup, somebody will give you AWS cloud credits. It's gonna be all smooth and wavy. You can do it now, do things easily. When it's hardware, there is some level of cash that you need to be able to do that. So get pre-orders. हाँ, शायद उस टाइम पे इस चीज़ की भी मेच्योरिटी नहीं थी कि जाकर के प्री ऑर्डर ले लिया होता. प्री ऑर्डर ले लिया होता तो पैसे आ गए होते, राइट? बट मेच्योरिटी क्या, टीम ही नहीं थी, 3 ही लोग थे. तो स्ट्रेटेजिक इनर्शिया हो जाता है और ये सब हो जाता है. अब वो वही वो रेट्रोस्पेक्ट में समझ आता है. या बोल बोल यार.
पास ऑफर था तो आपने फंडिंग क्यों नहीं उठाई?
फंडिंग क्यों नहीं उठाया यार? बेसिकली लाइक वी वर एट दैट काइंड ऑफ अ स्टेज वेयर if we were to raise more money, we would not definitely not have been a VC funded company. We diluted like 25% of our company in raising 2-3 crore rupees. Now, beyond this, we were not a seed company or a series A company. We got वही उस पे like we did not value ourselves enough that अब इसके बाद हो पाता. तो to do the next round, we had to dilute 15% more, and we were still raising 2-3 crore rupees only. We would not, again, like, it was harder to give an exit, we would have diluted so much that हम किसी इंस्टीट्यूशनल फंडिंग से पैसा उठा ही नहीं सकते थे। तो इसलिए हम फंड तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं उठा सकते थे, हमें मतलब वो काफी बड़ा वो आ गया था। और इंस्टीट्यूशनल फंड्स वर नॉट एक्चुअली गिविंग अस मनी क्योंकि द टोटल एड्रेसेबल मार्केट वाज नॉट बिग इनफ। So it's not just you doing good traction and good revenue that raises money. It also has to be the market. There has, as I said, like the second thing that you need to validate is how much money is being exchanged in that sector. The best B2B sports technology startup is doing $100 million in annual revenue. Whoop does $2 billion in annual revenue. There is, and like venture capital mein basically there is something called a power law. You are not trying to justify that you are good enough. You are trying to justify that you can make more money compared to these 10 other companies that are could be AI or software companies. Like for a VC, they do, let's say they have like $100 million that they want to deploy. What they would usually do is they would put $5 million in like 20 companies. Even if three of those companies like get to IPO, that will return $300 million or something. ठीक है, तो that will happen in a period of 10 years. So when VCs take money, when they actually collect that $100 million, they actually get people to, limited partners to put in that money. अब क्या होता है, there is always this calculation that somebody is doing that what if I put $100 million in a fixed deposit? Will how much money will that give me? In 3 years, $100 million will give me $200 million. Close. तो अगर मैं इतना रिस्क वगैरह लेकर के स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, 99% फेल करते हैं, मुझे 3 गुना पैसा तो चाहिए ही। That's why venture capital itself is not a very good business in the world. Like, there are not a lot of successful venture capital companies in the world. There are like, if startups are 99% failing, so are venture capitalists. So they have to choose in that way. It is a hard job for them also, and they are right in not funding a company like Tweak Labs. However, there are companies that get acquired that are good Lala companies that can make profitable things and that can get, 50 lakhs of profit in a year. Very good outcome. Absolutely amazing outcome. And when you have 50 lakhs of annual revenue if you have 10 lakhs of annual revenue in your company, when you're building a differentiated technology, there is always an option to scale more. But not the other way. If you are a VC company, you are burning 50 lakh rupees. Okay? And you always need that next round to be able to keep running on that treadmill again. So it is never the venture capitalist's decision on which road you are walking. It is yours. And it is your decision on how miserable of a life you are going to take. I am just coming and telling you that choose wisely and you can choose it any day. It is going to be a personal decision. It is going to be that, hey, am I ready to completely grow maybe a shitty product, or is this product good enough that I can scale it and then, like, uh, uh, live with the consequences of what happens? Are those consequences something I can deal with? Because there will always be consequences. There will be customer support you'd have to put out. You will never have a perfect product. You just need to find the balance of when is that? When is somebody not going to give you money again? If that ratio, goes out of hand. बढ़िया, मुझे भी नहीं पता था मैं इतना अच्छा ज्ञान देता हूँ। और कोई सवाल है? बढ़िया guys, I mean like I think one thing that you should take out of this is be more ambitious with your life. I really hope, मतलब जो भी हो जाए, लाइक कोर्स होकर के खत्म हो जाए, कुछ भी हो जाए, 5 साल बाद कर पा रहे हो, लाइक लाइफ में मजबूरियां हैं, जो भी है, बट मतलब बी मोर एम्बिशियस विद योर लाइफ एंड लाइक थिंक दैट यू कैन जस्ट डू थिंग्स एंड देर विल बी पीपल हु विल बी देयर फॉर यू when you are doing those crazy things and you will be talked about. So best of luck guys.
No more questions. और कुछ नहीं तो यही पूछ लो कि अ, अगर हमारे को कुछ करना हो अभी, ठीक है आपने पूछा कि किस तरह का, बट अगर सपोज अनंत कोई 3 और कंपनी सजेस्ट करनी है तो वो क्या हो सकती हैं, किस तरह के प्रोडक्ट्स हो सकते हैं, अगर अनंत कोई सजेस्ट करने हैं, ऐसे ही कुछ पूछ लो। मैंने पूछ लिया।
Okay, top 3 companies.
कोई 3 सॉल्यूशन जो तुम चाहो कि अब इन बच्चों को सपोज डेवलप करने चाहिए, तुम्हारी नजर में ये 3 ऐसे सॉल्यूशन हैं which are just waiting to be developed, and they could be in any domain that you have come across, which again uh,
Mhm.
you know their capacity and whatever, but they have to dream big.
Okay. Yeah, one thing I would definitely want to kind of suggest. I think you all know about IDEX. IDEX is basically a grant that the military gives. Ki, build these solutions for us. We are looking for them. Like there you go. There are people who have problems listed, and if you can solve those problems technically, you will be able to get a grant from the military that uh, in phases, and you will be able to deploy the product out there in the market for the country to win. Right? Scroll through that IDEX page and look at what are the problems that they are looking for. It is a product market fit already. Right? There are problems associated with drones. Uh, Sometimes they could need long range drones. Sometimes they could need high payload delivery drones. Sometimes they need precision landing. Uh, like extremely cool things. Obviously, it's so cool to make military companies. Obviously, right? Have a look at that. Very good problems to solve also, and like they are state of the art technical problems. I would definitely say, I think one thing I have like that was completely a blow away for me in the drone ecosystem was how much has already been done. I mean, you like see there is Ardu pilot. There are people in this company. So I have joined like about 1.5 year ago. Uh, Before me, there was this person who joined like 3 months before me, who was the first guy who knew software. Like before this guy, the company has been running for 4 years, and there was no person who knew software itself. They could put not just software, hardware also, electronics also. Like they knew V equal to IR and those basic things. But there were people in this company who just knew how to build drones from open source things. There is this big code base called Arduino Pilot, which has everything. You can like just flash it on a Pixhawk or any flight controller, and you can make it do things. You can make it fly. You can make a quadcopter fly. You can make uh, birotors. Like aerospace is such an easy place to get into. It just needs a lot of money, which you will be able to figure out, I'm sure. But your ideas can start from there. It is very cool to actually build drones. I did not know that. I did not know that when I was in college. In fact, the only other guy who knew builds drones was surprised, the kabaddi wala I was talking about, Mukul. Like he was the like head of this the drone club of IIIT Delhi, and our drone club was actually pretty cool. It actually went to international, like they went to the US. They actually won. They were third in a competition where Harvard, Stanford, MIT, all of them were there, and they were ranked below them. Uh, they've done really amazing thing. They actually got through the IDEX grant with one of the professors. Like they were building something kind of a swarm kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's really open source. It's very easy to do. It's hands-on, and you can just know like learn how to build drones online. And I think that's a very good place to go to. The second, I would say, if there is any other option that I would suggest you to go into, uh, yeah, think about manufacturing uh, as a very big sector. India is going to be huge in manufacturing in the next 10 years. We are going to be a very big economy in terms of manufacturing everything. Right? We are going to be the China of the next decade. Maybe next नहीं तो next to next decade का China बनने वाले हम. If there are things that you see are manufactured and you can find better ways to manufacture them and automate those things or make them more classy or more tasteful and make that easier. Giving you very simple examples, uh, जो like जो automotive industry है, right? Automotive industries was used to be a mechanical engineering industry. You had to create big metal parts and they took a long time to be made, like 6 8 months, like huge like turnaround times, then compliances, ye wo, etc. The moment electric vehicles came in, the time to market for vehicles for a EV compared to a normal mechanical diesel petrol car, जहाँ पे thermodynamics तक बात आ रही थी, that became so much faster that there were like 20 30 brands of EV companies that just started coming in China just because इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स आर फास्टर टू मेक क्योंकि इकोसिस्टम बना हुआ है इतना चेंज नहीं हो रहा तुम्हें मैकेनिकल पार्ट्स नहीं चेंज करने पड़ रहे हैं मोटर्स electronic speed controllers all of that stack at least exists and somebody has solved it so मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जस्ट इजियर करके वो बस डायमेंशन चेंज करके काफी कुछ हो जाता है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में दी अदर पार्ट दैट आई वाज एक्चुअली कमिंग टू कि जब मेटल पार्ट्स थे ये जो पूरी इंडस्ट्री थी अभी जिस तरह से काम हो रहा है ना वो 3D प्रिंटर से हो रहा है पहले देर वाज समथिंग कॉल्ड इंजेक्शन मोल्डिंग इज व्हेन यू मेक टू मेटल पार्ट्स एंड यू क्रिएट प्लास्टिक्स ऑन स्केल आई मीन लंबी कहानी है बट बेसिकली इट टेक्स यू अबाउट 3 to 4 months टू मेक अ गुड प्लास्टिक पार्ट ठीक है अब 3D प्रिंटर्स जैसे है तो वो जो गुड प्लास्टिक पार्ट था वो गुड तो नहीं हुआ but it reduced that time to 2 hours. You can create a design on your laptop and you can 3D print it in 2 hours and you can validate your design. Once you validated your design, you can send it for a 3 month injection molding project. Otherwise, it took 2 to 3 years to for you to get the right design. जो तुमने 3D में कैड बनाया है वो 2 से 3 साल लग जाता था क्योंकि तुम 6 6 महीने में इटरेशंस कर रहे थे. नाउ यू कैन डू 3 दिन में यू कैन क्रिएट अ फाइनल प्रोडक्ट एंड देन सेंड इट फॉर इंजेक्शन मोल्डिंग एंड ओनली फिगर आउट हाउ डू यू डिजाइन टू मैन्युफैक्चर इट बेटर. सो दैट्स द सेकेंड थिंग आई वुड से. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इज अ वेरी गुड सेक्टर, बहुत ही बढ़िया है. And the third sector that is actually close to my heart, and matlab, I would love, like, it is just passion that I'm kind of bringing this up with. I really recommend कि मतलब कुछ कंज्यूमर हार्डवेयर स्टार्टअप बना दो, देश को जरूरत है उसकी. आई थिंक मतलब जैसे नथिंग फोन, लाइक देर इज एक्चुअली नो अदर कंपनी एक्सेप्ट अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन in this country who has created products that are built in India and sold to the world as consumer electronics. In fact, like एक या दो ब्रांड के अलावा तुम लोग मेरे को कोई ऐसी बड़ी प्रीमियम ब्रांड बता ही नहीं सकते जो इंडिया से गई है और पूरी दुनिया में माना जाता है उसको. शायद रॉयल एनफील्ड बोल दो, वो भी यूके की थी, इंडिया में एक्वायर हुई. तो लाइक we have that opportunity, we have that talent. I just i just feel sad कि कोई भाई मार्केटिंग ब्रांडिंग कुछ भी फिगर आउट करके एक बढ़िया सी कंज्यूमर हार्डवेयर ब्रांड बना लो जो कि दुनिया में मानी जाती है. अगर तुम वो करते हो, यूएस से पैसा मिलेगा, यूरोप से, जो भी है उस टाइम पे जो भी अच्छी मानी जाती है. बिल्ड इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड एंड बिल्ड द बेस्ट क्लास क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट दैट कैन बी फाउंड हियर. हमारे देश से कोई फोन नहीं बना यार. माइक्रोमैक्स आया था, खत्म हो गया because Chinese phones came in and like built it. So for this, I will give you a podcast recommendation. Look at WTF is consumer hardware. Uh, it's a podcast between Nikhil Kamath, Carl Pei, the founder of Nothing, the phone. Uh, it is the newest age phone brand that has come in. The Micromax founder and the founder of Noise. ये चार लोग बैठ करके बात करते हैं. जस्ट ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड. इट इज अ ऑफ कोर्स कंज्यूमर हार्डवेयर इज मोर ऑफ अ बिजनेस एंड मार्केटिंग देन प्योर टेक्नोलॉजी काइंड ऑफ अ प्ले. बट it's just like coming from the center of my heart that there is somebody who should kind of build this, and I would be glad if one of you is sitting in this room. So yeah, I think those are three great sectors. Those are my favorite sectors. I won't say they are the best companies you can build in, but yeah.
Anything else?
सर आपको कैसा लगा मेरा आंसर?
Any acha? That was your answer. That's good. And I'm so Anant, just to share with you, CIP was established under mentorship of Mahendra Pratap ji. He
Oh,
was
yes.
one of the HCL Tech.
Yes.
So the HCL Tech was the first company from India to have a consumer product.
Yes.
And मैं उसके साथ बैठे थे तो हम दोनों ये सोच रहे थे कि यार इंडिया से सैमसंग निकाल दिया.
Yes.
तो जो तुमने थर्ड पॉइंट बोला, दैट इज व्हाट इट इज. बट एक्चुअली सैमसंग अगर तुम देखो तो सैमसंग इज ऑल थ्री, ऑल इन वन.
Yes. Yes. वो तो
इंडिया का सैमसंग बनाना है हमें सीआईपीडी से.
Hmm.
तो and in those sense, kind of you're bang on in terms of what I also think. And when it's to see ये अपने आप को कितना मस्त है.
सर
मैं तो
100%
आपको
मजा आ गया. मतलब वो तो बात सही है. लाइक आई थिंक आपने सैमसंग वाली बात बोली, बिल्कुल सही है. इवन एप्पल बहुत वो था, लाइक इज वेरी सिमिलर एग्जांपल. एंड आई थिंक बस यही हो जाता है कि मतलब आपके गो टू मार्केट क्या है, आप कहाँ से शुरू करेंगे, कौन से कौन से यूजर को पहले बेचेंगे, उससे कैश फ्लो अगर आपका फिगर आउट हो गया, आप इवेंचुअली अगर बड़ी कंपनी बनाएंगे, आप तीनों ही होंगे फिर।
वेरी ट्रू, वेरी ट्रू। या आस्क सर, हार्डवेयर में ज्यादा स्कोप है सॉफ्टवेयर पार्ट में बिजनेस बनाने में?
अम्म, यार मैं सही बताऊं, देखो सॉफ्टवेयर बनाना आसान है, लेकिन एक एक बात होती है सॉफ्टवेयर बनाने की, कि अगर वो तुम्हारे लिए आसान है तो वो सबके लिए भी है आसान। तो जो हार्डवेयर माफिया है ना, वो बनाना जरूरी है देश के लिए। मतलब कि यू विल बी रिप्लेस्ड एज अ सॉफ्टवेयर फाउंडर, you will have a very hard life as a hardware founder. Today, most of the B2B SaaS companies who were raising money early on, they are struggling for relevance. कि भाई अब B2B SaaS क्या है, कि आई एम मेकिंग सॉफ्टवेयर एज अ सर्विस फॉर अ लार्जर कंपनी, राइट? नाउ डर इस बात का रहता है उनको कि कोई इंटर अगर मैं माइक्रोसॉफ्ट हूं और कोई मेरे को SaaS बेच रहा है, why should I not build this in-house if I am a software company myself? I need to assemble a team and build this in-house, right? Why would I not do that? That is the only question people keep asking. हार्डवेयर में जब टाइमलाइंस होते हैं ना, वो एआई की वजह से कम हुए नहीं। लाइक तुम्हें फर्मवेयर अभी भी लिखना है, तुम्हें रिलायबल सॉफ्टवेयर लिखना है, तुम्हें सब कुछ करना है, लेकिन जो लोग हाथ से टूल्स बना रहे हैं और ये सारी चीजें कर रहे हैं ना, वो हाइजीन लाने में उतना ही टाइम किसी को कॉपी करने में लगेगा तुम्हें, जितना टाइम तुम्हें स्क्रैच से बनाने में लगा था। तो वो बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज है। मतलब उसमें ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई ऐसे इनकम्बेंट आ जाएगा, वो बोलेगा मैं इसको कॉपी करके बेटर बना दूंगा, चीजें चली हो जाएंगी। वेरी बिग एग्जांपल, Aura is basically the first smart ring company of the world. It started in the US. It was selling in the US. It was a $1 billion company. Ultra Human became successful because it copied Aura as it is and started selling the same product at a different business model. पता है क्या हुआ? Aura ने केस कर दिया अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन पे कि तुमने हमारा पेटेंट इन्फ्रिंज किया है, एंड Aura केस जीत गए। तो दे कुड प्रोटेक्ट देयर इनोवेशन, दे कुड एक्चुअली प्रोटेक्ट कि भाई देर वॉज ओनली वन वे ऑफ मेकिंग स्मार्ट रिंग्स, वी मेड इट, वी सोल्ड इट फॉर 10 years, वी फिगर्ड आउट गो टू मार्केट स्ट्रेटजीज फॉर इट। जेनिफर एनिस्टन जैसे लोगों को हमने फ्री में बांटी रिंग पहनने के लिए, ये सब करने के लिए। नाउ समबडी जस्ट कम्स अप विद द सेम प्रोडक्ट और बोला कि मतलब उसमें सब्सक्रिप्शन नहीं है, और एंड एवरीथिंग वी डिड वेंट टू जीरो। वो नहीं हुआ। लेकिन सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी में वो हो जाता है। लाइक सॉफ्टवेयर बहुत सोशलिस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट बनने वाला है, अभी भी नहीं बना है, वो पहले भी था, कंप्लीटली नहीं था। अब एआई की वजह से तो बहुत सोशलिस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट बन गया वो। अगर तुम्हें कैपिटलिस्ट बनना है तो फिर कैपिटलिस्ट के लिए तुम्हें फिजिकल चीजें करनी पड़ेगी, फिजिकल चीज बनानी पड़ेगी, ऑपरेशंस वाली चीज बनानी पड़ेगी। बट प्योर सॉफ्टवेयर विल नेवर बी अ मोट एनीमोर। वही हार्डवेयर तो बना लो यार, आई मीन लाइक ठीक है, हो सकता है कि मैं बायस हूँ क्योंकि मैं मतलब मुझे हार्डवेयर आता है और मैं तो कूल बनने की कोशिश करूंगा ही। तो बट लाइक द अदर थिंग दैट यू कैन रियली डिफरेंशिएट ऑन इज ब्रांड, और वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करके ही अच्छे से आता है। क्वालिटी ऑफ समथिंग ट्रम्प्स एवरीथिंग। इफ अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन वॉज बेटर इन क्वालिटी देन ऑरा, इट वुड लोग लोग उसको फिर ऐसे इलीगली खरीदना शुरू कर देते हैं। तो वो चेस कर लो, वो हमेशा जीत जाओगे।
आप आपके ट्विट क्लास में किसी ने कॉपी बना दी इस टाइम पे, तो आप कुछ कर सकते हो उसको?
हाँ, मतलब कि मतलब जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, मतलब हमने एक क्वालिटी वाले साइड में काइंड ऑफ वो कर लिया था। मतलब कि हमें डर ही नहीं था कि भाई कोई कॉपी कर ले हमें। मतलब इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट, हमारा पूरा प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन कंप्यूटर विजन है। लाइक हमने एक्चुअली इस चीज की डिमांड प्रूव कर दी थी कि चलो, तो देर आर पीपल हु केम अप विद फास्ट बोलिंग के लिए कि तुम वीडियो रिकॉर्ड करो और उसमें सारे के सारे हमारे पैरामीटर्स आ जाता है। लाइक हम लोगों ने इस चीज की नीड ही बना दी कि मतलब भाई इस देर इज दिस प्रॉब्लम दैट एग्जिस्ट एंड देर इज नो सोल्यूशन फॉर इट बिकॉज वी डाइड। पीपल केम एंड लाइक सॉल्व दैट प्रॉब्लम समहाउ, बट डू यू नो व्हाई इट स्टिल डिड नॉट स्केल? क्योंकि लोगों को रियलाइज हो रहा है कि एक आदमी को खड़े होकर के वो वीडियो बनानी पड़ेगी। वो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मतलब हर बॉल जो आदमी डाल रहा है वो एक बंदा बार बार रिकॉर्ड कर रहा है उसको। और अगर तुम ये कह रहे हो कि मतलब हर जगह पे कैमरा लगा देंगे, तो इतनी परमानेंट जगह है नहीं किसी के पास जो स्पोर्ट्स खेलता है। सब लोगों के पास बेसमेंट में जिम नहीं है। किसी के पास बेसमेंट में जिम नहीं है, बहुत कम लोगों के पास है। इवन विराट कोहली भी लाइक ग्राउंड पे जाके खेलते हैं एनसीए में, राइट? तो इफ यू डिफरेंशिएट योर, मतलब कि ऑब्वियसली हमें पेटेंट करना चाहिए, बट मतलब वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में कर लो। ऐसी चीज पेटेंट करो कि कोई अगर ये चीज कॉपी करने जा रहा है उसको पता नहीं है कि ये करना है। अच्छा, सो लाइक यू गाइस नो वूप, राइट? वूप ने पता है क्या पेटेंट किया है? तो वूप को चार्ज करने के लिए यू डोंट कनेक्ट यूएसबी सी और एनीथिंग। यू बेसिकली देर इज लाइक अ पावर बैंक पक दैट यू स्लाइड ऑन टॉप ऑफ अ वूप। तो क्या होता है कि यू नेवर हैव टू टेक द वूप ऑफ योर बॉडी टू चार्ज इट। उन्होंने पता है क्या पेटेंट किया? उनके पेटेंट का नाम है कंटिन्यूअस हार्ट रेट मॉनिटर। और उन्होंने ये चीज कैंसल कर दी पूरी दुनिया के लिए कि कोई भी ये फिजिकल हार्डवेयर अब नहीं बना सकता, क्योंकि वो दैट विल अकाउंट टू सेइंग दैट यू आर कंटिन्यूअसली मॉनिटरिंग हार्ट रेट। तो तुम कुछ भी लाइक ऐसा बनाते हो जो ऑन द बॉडी चार्ज हो जाता है, तुम्हें वो सू कर सकता है। इतना मस्त पेटेंट लिखा हुआ उन्होंने। तो अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन में हम रिस्ट वेरेबल बना रहे थे और हम इसलिए वूप की कॉपी नहीं बना पाए क्योंकि उन्होंने अपना पूरा ग्राउंड वर्क करके रखा हुआ है। सही बात है, पेटेंट के बारे में सोचना चाहिए, बिल्कुल अच्छे से सोचना चाहिए। यू शुड प्रोटेक्ट योर सेल्फ फॉर द टेन, यू शुड डिफरेंशिएट योर सेल्फ। एंड फिजिकल हार्डवेयर जब तुम बना रहे होते हो, इवन इफ यू डोंट फाइल फॉर पेटेंट्स, जस्ट बाय द मियर क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स दैट यू बिल्ड, you create that differentiation. However, that might be very subjective in software, क्योंकि फिर वो उसमें डिजाइन वाली चीजें आ जाती हैं, उसमें एस्थेटिक्स वाली चीजें आ जाती हैं। और कितना डिफरेंशिएट कर लोगे एस्थेटिक्स पे, राइट? हाय।
आपने जो सेंसर्स लगाए थे अपनी शर्ट्स में,
हम्म।
अच्छा वो भी तो कर सकता था, उनके पास तो सेंसर भी बढ़िया है, सेंसर भी बढ़िया है, उन्होंने भी देखा।
अ, किस कौन कर सकता था?
वो
वो
अच्छा, वूप, अच्छा। यार हाँ, तो वूप उसी सिचुएशन में जिसमें हम थे, कि हम फास्ट बॉलर्स के लिए जैसे वो कर रहे थे, वो लोग रिस्ट वेरेबल्स के लिए वैसे हैं। तो भले ही उनके पास बहुत पैसे और बहुत कुछ है और ये सब कुछ है, वूप ने एक एक्चुअली प्रोडक्ट बनाया है कॉल्ड वूप बॉडी। वो बेसिकली लाइक तुम अपना वूप अपनी रिस्ट से निकाल करके अपनी बॉडी के अंदर लाइक अपनी अंडरवेयर या किसी चीज में डाल सकते हो, और वो वहां से हार्ट रेट मॉनिटर करेगा। उन्होंने सोचा, कोशिश करी वहां पे जाने की, बट वेन यू आर ड्राइविंग अ वेरी लार्ज शिप, राइट, it becomes very hard to maneuver it. But when you're a small company, छोटे से हो, तुमने 100 एम्प्लॉय नहीं हायर कर रखे हैं, सारे 100 लोगों को काम नहीं दे के रखा हुआ है, तुम वैसे आदमी हो, तो तुम छोटे और एजाइल हो तुम। तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम भी वो एजिलिटी लूज कर चुके थे फास्ट बॉलिंग के साथ, बट वो बहुत ज्यादा कर चुका है। और इनफैक्ट टू द सरप्राइज अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन भी बहुत ज्यादा कर चुका था. तो दैट इज द रीजन वाई अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन डिड नॉट परस्यू द आइडिया ऑफ लाइक अ फुल बॉडी मोकैप, क्योंकि उन्होंने जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सॉल्व करके रखा था वो ऐसी चीजों के लिए था कि भाई द मेन सेल्स ऑफ अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन वॉज कमिंग फ्रॉम प्लेसेस लाइक वॉलमार्ट में, कॉस्टको और बेस्ट बाय जैसे जो है ना रिटेल स्टोर्स है. यूएस में लोग सारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स वहीं से खरीदते हैं. वहां पे अल्ट्रा ह्यूमन के डब्बे रखे हुए हैं, लोग जाके खरीद लेते हैं ऐसे कमोडिटी की तरह. उनका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ही वैसा है भैया. कपड़े बेचने का तो पूरा चेंज ही हो जाता है ना पूरा डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. फिर तो तुम्हें डिकैथलॉन में लिस्ट होना होगा. फिर तो तुम मतलब कि लाइक तुम्हारा पूरा तरीका, द वे द डीएनए ऑफ द कंपनी चेंजेस व्हेन दिस इज देयर इज सच अ ह्यूज पिवट इन द प्रोडक्ट, राइट? तो वो डीएनए जो है ना लाइक सोच के चूज करना होगा. जैसे मार्क जकरबर्ग ने जब इंस्टाग्राम से मेटावर्स चला गया था, तो वो जो आईपीओ क्रैश हुआ था, राइट, वो इसीलिए हो पाया क्योंकि मार्क जकरबर्ग के पास इतने खुद के पैसे थे और अपनी खुद की इक्विटी थी इतनी ज्यादा, तो वो ये चीज कर सकता था. बट विल अहमद के पास फिर वो 10% इक्विटी बची है वूप में, तो वो नहीं कर सकता. अब वो ये चीजें नहीं कर सकता. कोशिश करते हैं, नहीं कर पाते हैं. बात हुई है मेरी.
Anything else? So, thank you, Anand. I would have loved to have you here physically, but unfortunately, and I hope that your leg is better and it recovers, it heals fast and soon.
Yes, yes, sir.
So, as soon as we have the next opportunity of you being in Delhi, uh, it would be great if you can just come and meet the students here. जिनको अभी तुम इतना दूर से देख रहे हो, meet them, interact with them, and by that time, I hope that they would have themselves identified some products, heeded to your wisdom, and moved ahead, and you will have an opportunity to look into and guide them and mentor them.
Yeah.
Also, it may happen that a few of them, depending on what products they choose, they may want to have you as their mentor. So
Yep.
what we will do is we'll set up, ask them to contact you, and then you may need to give them, say, 1 hour a week or half an hour a week or something like that, depending on what works for you and what they need.
100%.
So that they do not make the mistakes that you ended up making, either out of ignorance or because of lack of connections or all of that. See, you today have that access and that understanding of the market where if they need something, you can immediately say, nahi yaar, ye wala sensor, nahi wo wala sensor, yeah, not this vendor, that vendor, so that you don't, end up struggling like we struggled.
Yep.
So that's something that would be really valuable, and they may come back to you. And जब भी तुम दिल्ली आ रहे हो next, so you have to come.
100%,
You
sir.
have to
It's
meet
my
these
agenda.
people, and let's see. ठीक है. तो अब एक फोटो लेने के लिए अनंत हमें ये करना पड़ेगा, तुम्हें ऐसे ही रहना पड़ेगा और हम सारे आगे आ जाएंगे, तुम्हें हम में से कोई भी नजर नहीं आएगा.
ठीक है सर, डन.
तुम्हें
ठीक है.
Come. अनंत को मत कवर करना, बाकी प्लीज लो. नहीं, तुम उसके सामने भी खड़ी होगी तो भी वो कवर नहीं होगा. एक दो लोग इधर आ सकते हैं, हेवी ऑन दैट साइड. ग्रुप का है तो हीरोज. Right?
All right, people. Best of. I hope you get a lot of luck and you are going to do hard things.
So thank you, Anand. And I would want to reinforce a few points that you mentioned in front of you already. That to be a good founder, You have to be respected by your team, and they will respect you for your technical competence and for what you bring on the table instead of just the ideas that you bring. So the 6 months is an opportunity, which he did not say. Now I'm adding my words there.
Yeah,
And this is
100%.
an opportunity for you to actually build that competence. We've already started. I see that you've already, gone past the fear of hardware. At least अब दिखता है कि हाँ हम कर सकते हैं कुछ. And there is so much more to do. Anant, towards the end, he talked about quality. That see, quality is something that no सब कुछ copy कर लेंगे, but quality नहीं कर सकते. And you will see that there are so many nuances in design which will define quality, which you will know only when you are, meticulous in making notes, for example, in recording and in understanding, alert, and actively engaged in the sessions that are happening here. Whether it is Rohit sessions or whether it is some professor coming and talking, or whether it is people like Anant and Harsh who are coming and talking, being alert, engaging with them, interacting with them will give you those nuances कि हाँ यार ये this is important, this is important. पैसिव रहने से आप क्वालिटी के लिए जो चीजें चाहिए होती हैं वो नहीं निकाल पाओगे लोगों से. We are bringing you very, very experienced people. They're going to be, Anand, for example, is 8 to 9 years elder to you. There are other people who will be 20 years elder to you, 30 years elder to you. So they're coming with a vast experience behind them. And उनके लिए बहुत सारी चीजें obvious ही होने लगेंगी. Unless you ask them, unless you challenge them and ask them कि भाई मुझे ये बताओ, ये तो देखने में तो इतना सिंपल लग रहा है, तो आप मुझे पढ़ाई क्यों रहे हो? Then they'll say, oh नहीं simple दिखाया है, इसमें ये nuances हैं. Then they will come to the nuances. If you are passive, if you simply say that okay कोई आके पढ़ा गया और चला गया, then that's not going to happen. I really loved this session because Anant was very open to you asking questions to him, and you actually opened up and asked questions to him. Even in the morning, when Harsh was there, you asked questions. So keep that thing alive. Even if the person standing here doesn't appear to encourage questions, you ask. It's for you. You do not even know, for many of the people who will come here, we will be paying a huge amount to them. So आप लोगों ने तो अपनी फीस दे दी, अब यहाँ से जो जा रहा है बाहर, you don't even know about that. So you better make it worth it for them to be here, and make it worth it for you to be sitting in the class and listening to them. So, and then he said that think big. You have tremendous potential, and I do not know any one of you personally in a way. ना तो हमने cohort शुरू करा है. But I know that just every human being has tremendous potential. So you also have tremendous potential. Don't shortchange yourself for easy things. ये आसान है, ये कर लेते हैं, काम खत्म. You're not shortchanging me, you're not cheating me, you're not cheating Anant, you're not cheating the professor who is standing here. You're cheating yourself actually. Because shortcuts never build great leaders. Perseverance, taking the harder path, because that is what is needed, that is what makes strong leaders. And as I said in my first session also, that I look up at all of you as leaders of the India product story. So मेरे को आपको leaders की तरह shine करते हुए देखना है. तो shortcuts मत सोचना. Think of what is needed, and if whatever is needed takes hard work, patience, perseverance, put that. ठीक है? And while Anant had that cash crunch towards the end of it, there was lack of strategic inputs, or all those things, because they were independently trying to do what they did. There was no mentoring that was available to them per se. Today with CIPD, in this program, we will also have sessions on strategy. We'll also have sessions on go-to-market. We'll also have sessions on a wide range of things which Anant never got exposed to and had to learn through experience. So the potential that we have today, the environment as it has evolved in the country today, is very different from when Anant decided to do a startup. And जो opportunities आपके पास आज हैं, you should definitely not shortchange yourself. Dream big, and I assure you, each one of you can make it. And collectively, you can make it much bigger. So collaboration is something that you should not hesitate from. Anant himself was, you were 3 partners, Anant.
Yep.
So we will form teams here. You want to bring in someone else who you trust, who you think has the required complementary skill to work alongside you, bring them on. But make it happen. ठीक है? चलिए, thank you Anant. I'm piggybacking on what you said, and मैंने अपना ज्ञान भी बांट दिया ऊपर.
बढ़िया सर.
So thank you for setting the base and the platform. And a quick round of applause for Anant.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, and see you soon. Get well soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care. Best of luck.